What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Sass Cast. Once again, same guys are going to be here today. I am Gage. Over here to my right, we've got Largent. Down below, we've got Kumail. And then down in the corner,
What's
we've
up?
got Phil. How's it going today, guys?
Buddy.
Yeah, it's going pretty good, thanks. Came off that 4-hour Ultimate Chicken Halls tournament that you won.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do, you know? Sometimes the king just has to arrive and, show the locals why he's the king.
It's just so funny that we play you up to be this villain and you don't disappoint our expectations of you.
Okay, there was
It
nothing
just
more...
goes to show. It just goes to show that in real life, villains always win.
It's
true.
Pretty true.
That is true. I've tried to
That's very
embrace
true.
that. All right, so we've actually got a pretty awesome topic today. There's been this trend going around on Twitter for the past couple days. Somebody started it. Basically, it's what's your favorite game from the year you turned 18? So basically, we're going to do that, but we also kind of added another layer onto it. So it's going to be our favorite games from the year we turned 18, as well as favorite games from the years we were born. It's going to be kind of interesting because, well, both me and Largent, we're going to have the same years from when we were born and when we turned 18. But it's going to be interesting having Kumail and Phil. Both of you guys are born at different times, so it's going to give us kind of a wider spectrum of options to go off of. So it's going to be pretty
Is that
fun,
another
actually.
way of calling us old, Gage?
Yes.
Yeah, for
All right.
sure.
So since Kumail, you kind of had this idea yesterday when we were originally going to shoot this, but timing
Could I go
just didn't line
second?
up. You want to go second? Fine.
Yeah, I
Fuck
want
you.
to go second.
Phil, would you like to start us off with the game that you like the most from the year that you were born?
Yeah. So I was looking at this list, and this is a really hard list because there's not a whole lot that came out that year. First of all, it's 1986, which was the birth of Castlevania, the birth of Metroid. The Mario the
God.
Lost Levels came out in Japan that year.
Yeah.
But the big one, and I think like hardly anybody is going to argue this point, is The Legend of Zelda.
Absolutely.
That came out in 1986 and crushed it. So, I mean, I still go back and play that game today. That shows how well that game still stands up.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Zelda is it's kind of a timeless game that even after all this time you can go back to and still appreciate the simplicity of it. Like, not to detract from it in any way, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just, you go to dungeons, you get better gear, you go, and then you beat the game. It's kind of the same formula that they've kind of expanded upon in every iteration since that can be, traced all the way back to its origins. Yeah.
And sometimes simplicity can be like king, not having so convoluted, like, how do I explain this? You don't
Look at Tetris.
necessarily have to have a game with everything in it for it to be good, Sometimes just having
Absolutely.
Look at
basic things
Tetris.
in there
The idea of Tetris is probably one of the most simplistic ideas. Put shapes in place, make lines disappear.
Oh, that's
And
what
yet-
you do.
Yeah, that, Space Invaders, Pong, like these are all games that have very shallow,
Concept.
kind of shallow concepts because it's just, hey, you're playing table tennis or hey, you're doing this or doing that, but they remain timeless just because of how well they execute on that, I guess, which is pretty cool.
And let's be real. I mean, people play table tennis today, just in real life.
Absolutely. And we
They also play Legend of Zelda,
Yeah.
the original one. So that it just kind of shows how good that game is. It's held
I
up
just
for so long.
imagine a bunch of people like dressing up as Link and Zelda and Ganondorf. Wow. And Ganon. Sorry about that. And like LARPing in a forest because I said in real life.
Yeah, right. Man, real life is going to get really dicey when we get to the games coming later on. But yeah, Zelda's a really good one because that is a really timeless game that I just wish was made available.
I guess you can say from 1986, some of the games that were in there were like really influential as well. On like
Absolutely, even like looking at Castlevania and stuff like that, how that game kind of essentially created a subgenre in of itself. Same with Metroid. That's why you have Metroidvania games, is because those games came out and did something so unique and so fun that we keep seeing that in games, 30, 35 years later. 45.
Yeah, and
I
that
mean,
just goes to show
35.
how like impressive Zelda is even now. Like we look back on those games, and those games have created their own genres and paved the way for many more games after it. But Zelda kind of almost hasn't changed its tune in the past 30 years. And those games still hold up, and especially the first one, like
well,
Phil said, like we can still go back to that game and play it all the way through because it's still that good.
when
Absolutely.
you think about it too, like Breath of the Wild is kind of an expanded version of the first game. Like it's closer to the first game, I think, than almost any other iteration of the series, just because of it has that idea of open exploration and kind of playing the game how you want to, uh, like the
Mm-hmm.
original did.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, you can also die by freezing. That's just a random point in there.
Yep. Very random.
Okay.
But
Thank you
yeah,
for your input, Kyle.
1986, a great year to be born, Phil.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
So then, a game from the year that you turned 18, Phil. Now, this is gonna be
All right.
the tough
Okay,
selection here.
so we actually did a lot of talking prior to actually hopping on here. And it was really hard because, I mean, you've got Half Life 2, was that San Andreas 2004?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um, and you had Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is not like a huge game by any means, but it's one of my favorite games that came out that year. Um,
You got
I
Halo
would say
2.
Halo 2 came out that year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think narrowing it down to those four, for me, my favorite, the one that I enjoy the most, is, as I said, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Essentially, imagine the kind of Fallout style RPG, Fallout 3 style of RPG, but before Fallout 3.
Right.
Um, it kind of had a lot of those features, kind of like Deus Ex or any of those RPG kind of first person games where you go and you talk to people and you'd have choices to make. But it fit a genre that I really enjoy. Like I actually used to have like all the World of Darkness RPG books, and had a group that I played with, whatnot. So having that kind of lore at my fingertips and being able to play a game within that universe was just really cool for me. Seeing all the powers you read about when you read through an RPG book,
Yeah.
like a D&D book, and actually being able to see what those powers might be, what they might look like conceptualized into something really real, is just kind of neat and fun, and I really enjoyed that game. But
No, that's really cool.
yeah, if we're talking about best game of that year, I think last episode we talked about how influential San Andreas was, so I think you kind of have to give it to that, um, just because of everything that game was able to accomplish on one disc, no less.
Right.
Um, and then, I mean, Half Life 2, obviously, uh, one of the quintessential first person shooters. It kind of changed the way we thought about physics in video games. Um, so, I mean, and it's still to this day, like, where's Half Life 3? Even kids who've never played Half Life 2, are still like,
Yeah.
where's Half Life 3? Just
Mm-hmm.
because of how influential that game is. And then, of course, Halo 2. Although the Halo series hasn't been quite what it once was, Halo 2 still stands as one of the best multiplayer experiences of that era. So I think it
Definitely.
definitely deserves a
Definitely.
shout out. There are a ton of other good games, but I think those are the four kind of quintessential ones. And if I had to choose best of that year, I'd throw it to San Andreas. But for me personally, it's Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline.
So I want to take this moment to list the games that came out in this year, because 2004 is probably one of the best years in gaming. So you already mentioned a few. We got San Andreas, we got Half-Life 2, and Halo 2. But we got some real bangers that year. We got Need for Speed Underground 2, World of Warcraft, Metal Gear Solid 3, Doom 3, Jack 3, Fable, Metroid Prime 2, which I don't think I ever played. The Chronicles of Riddick, which the first one was Escape from Butcher Bay, right? That was the original Chronicle of Riddick game. Yeah, the good one.
Yes, you are correct. Sorry.
You're good. The first Far Cry, which I keep hearing shit outside. That's weird. First Far Cry is pretty solid. Tony Hawk's Underground. The Sims 2. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. Burnout 3. Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. Spider-Man 2. Anything else good?
Knights of the Old Republic 2, I
Yeah,
believe, was
KOTOR
04.
2. Bad Boys, which is
Roller
actually
Coaster
a really
Tycoon
solid
3.
game. And the Twin Snakes. Hitman Contracts. And Grand Theft Auto Advanced.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think Pokemon Emerald was released in 04 as well.
It's
And
not
so
on my
was
list,
Fire Red
so
and Leaf Green as well.
Yeah, that's right.
it's not on Google, so I don't believe you.
A really good resource for this, if you're ever looking for your own year in games, is actually the Wikipedia. So if you look for your year in gaming on Wikipedia, you'll find it, and it'll give you like a whole entire list
Yeah.
of when it was released and what regions it was released. But if I can just quickly, 2 games from that year as well. Obviously, Counter-Strike Source, which is such a big game in my
Absolutely.
life.
I skipped over it because fuck that game.
And there was a Game Boy Advance Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Tournament game as well. And I really love that game. So, yeah, 2
Very
games
cool.
from 2004 that I really loved.
Yeah, what a great year for that. That is incredible. I guess, Kumail, you're going to be up to bat since you said it yourself. You're doing your second. So
Oh, can I go third?
No, you're out of chances. So start off with year you were born. So that's 93, right?
Yeah, so 1993, the year where the plastic bag was actually invented. No, that's not true. So no, the games that came out in 1993, like Phil was saying, there's not too many. It's quite surprising compared to what we see now, where there's like 1,000 games every bloody month. But some of the games that came out that year was Ridge Racer,
Yeah. They did drop that.
NBA Jam, Samurai Showdown, which I know Phil holds that close to his heart. You got Kirby's
Thanks,
Adventure. No worries. Kirby's Adventure, Link's Awakening, Super Mario All Stars, Sonic CD, Mega Man 6, Doom, and Mega Man X. So I just want to ask you all before I reveal mine, what game out of those, just simply what title, would be your pick for that year?
Fuck all of those games. Mine is Super Mario All Stars. 100% Super Mario All Stars.
How about you, Large?
Mine would have to be Disney's Aladdin.
Nice.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
And Philip, how about you? I'm guessing it's Samurai Showdown, but we're just going to take a Samurai Showdown for Phil.
Okay. Phil's dead. Great.
But
Fair
mine as well probably would be Super Mario All Stars. Not that I've played All Stars, but I guess it was a collection of all the Mario games or what?
You haven't played All Stars?
No.
Fantastic.
Oh my god.
I was herding dogs for a second.
Fair enough.
I
Samurai
was just
Showdown
asking,
is
what was your game for?
absolutely one
93?
of my favorite games that came out that year, but also Super Street Fighter 2 came out that year. The third iteration that added the 4 new characters. I can't remember if they were the boss characters or the new characters, but
What was that, Shadow Ryu and stuff like that, or is that Alpha I'm thinking about?
no, that would have been it added Cammy and Fei Long and those characters and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so I don't think I've played any games on that list. I probably have played Doom, I think, but I can't remember it too well. But yeah, so 1993, blank year for me, but Mario takes it, I guess.
Nice. Dude, you need it. So Doom's pretty easy to get your hands on now because they've put it on everything, so you can play it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, phone, whatever. I think both Doom and Doom 2 are like $5 or something, so they're still pretty cheap. And they're still good games. But All Stars, that's one of the prime examples of Nintendo having captured lightning in a bottle and then threw it into a 5,000-foot well and they only have a rope that's 1,000 feet long because you can't get it anywhere. Like it. I had to track down a Super Nintendo and a copy of that game just to be able to have it again. They did the 20th or 30th or whatever 40th anniversary, whatever the hell it was, on the Wii, which was like okay, but
Yeah, the Wii version.
they put out the Super Nintendo Classic, which doesn't have it. They put out Super Nintendo games on Switch Online, and it doesn't have it. I had to jailbreak my Super Nintendo Classic just to put that game on there, which is arguably the best way to play those first 3 Super Mario Bros. Games. Like the NES versions are great, but Nintendo took it up a notch when they made All Stars, and the fact that they don't have it available anywhere is just absurd. I would have bought a Switch if it was available on Switch, but it's not, so I'm not buying a fucking Switch.
Do you think some dude in Kyoto has just misplaced it in his room and just can't find the original cartridge, and like Nintendo's like, oh god.
If that's the case, that motherfucker's never heard of the internet, because you can download a ROM of that game in 5 seconds. Like, it exists. You're able to emulate it. You're able to play it on different devices, but not officially. It's just kind of, it's a weird thing.
You'd love to get it officially and support them. Yeah, I totally agree. If it's not readily available, then I think it's perfectly fine to emulate it. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, if you're going to abandon your game and not put it out for people, you can't get pissed off if people find ways to play it. That's just how it is. Like, with all these marketplaces online where it's as simple as uploading a game and putting a price tag on it, why not? Nintendo has this infrastructure. They could easily do that. If they put that up there and made it $10, they would probably sell millions of dollars worth of copies within the first week, because people would be like, oh shit, Super Mario All-Stars.
Let's be real though. Like, what is Nintendo doing right now? Because for a while there, especially 2017, 2018, they were doing a lot of fun little re-release stuff, like the re-release of Punch-Out, the arcade version of Punch-Out, and then they did the arcade version of Mario Bros. Stuff like that. And they did a couple other releases like that were, $5, $10, and then they just stopped when the Nintendo Service came out. But the Nintendo Service and the Super Nintendo Service haven't really had a whole lot of fun stuff on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been the classic great games, but there hasn't been a huge variety after that.
I don't know. I feel like Nintendo is just, they're always so far behind everyone else in the industry, which is kind of upsetting, because Nintendo they have a lot of great IPs that are constantly being held back. Like, Breath of the Wild is great. It looks amazing. But how much better would it have been if it would have actually been on a machine that you could consider current generation? Being able to push it at a higher resolution at 60 frames per second when it's in docked mode or something instead of 30. Like, even if the dock itself was more powerful, like the Switch is fine as it is, but if the dock was able just to do more when you put stuff on your TV, but they're still stuck in the 1080p 30 frames per second generation. But then you also have companies like Microsoft pushing backward compatibility so hard with the Xbox One line, and now they're doing that with Series X by
digital delivery, whatever the hell is
that
called.
The smart delivery.
Smart delivery.
They're planning for the Series X. I'm assuming they're probably going to end up bringing this to Xbox One generation as well, because it could work. But they're going to have backward compatible games essentially emulated properly. So you're going to be able to get high dynamic range on Xbox 360 games. You're going to be able to get higher frame rates, overall better resolution. Like, some games have resolution bumps on Xbox Ones or Xbox One X, but the Series X is going to push actual next-gen upgrades on older games. Yet Nintendo has all these amazing games from the NES and the Super NES that take up maybe in total 2 gigabytes of data if they had their entire libraries just sitting in a vault somewhere. And then they have all these amazing games that they did remasters or ports of for like the Wii and the Wii U, but the Switch comes out and we still don't have games like Wind Waker. You can't play Twilight Princess on it.
Gage,
like
we got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, so
Kumail,
gave us
get the hell off the podcast.
let's not get sidetracked. I think this might be a topic for another day.
It's just irritating that Nintendo has all these things.
It's combining of Fire Emblem and the Shin Megami Tensei series, Gage, and it's amazing.
Is that Phil's sarcastic voice? Because I'm gonna have to kick him off the podcast while I get kicked out.
That's my. I'm trying to not be like imposing, but also trying to say stuff.
It's right. Be imposing. Gage won't listen anyway.
I love
It's
the
true.
Fire Emblem games and the series, but I cannot bring myself to play that game. I'm sorry.
It's so good.
Look, if they
No.
put what was the Fire
Camille
Emblem
and I are
game
crying
for?
right now.
Yeah,
Shit.
like it's like one of the few Wii U games I actually bought. You know.
I think it was the GameCube Fire Emblem that I played and I beat. I
Well, you
think
can
so.
talk about that when you come to your year.
Um,
2011
I'm not gonna lie.
people.
But it's a great
I was-
game though. But like you can't all these amazing games like
I was so happy when they announced Tokyo Mirage Sessions for the Switch because I never had a Wii U.
It took him
Yeah.
ages though, didn't it? But anyway, let's
Yeah.
let's talk about 2011 and not worry about Gage's whole rant about Nintendo till another
look.
podcast.
I'm sorry, Nintendo just needs to
'Cause
get
he's
their
not
head
gonna
out their
stop.
asses.
I know.
That's
But
all
I don't
I'm
want to lose all
saying.
this great content that we can fully have a 5-hour conversation about because
True.
you literally could have a 5-hour conversation about games that are missing and deserve to be brought back.
We're about to
For
have
sure.
a 5-hour conversation because you're about to bring up 2011.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
2011. So what I'm gonna do here,
Oh my
what I'm gonna do here for
God.
2011 is I'm gonna list some of the most I think biggest games from that year, and I
Okay.
want you all to pick one, just pick one, and I'll give a shout out to my top 5 and then my winner afterwards. So these are the games, right? I've got for you guys. It's Dark Souls, Dead Space 2, FIFA 12, Super Mario 3D Land, Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, Bastion, Gears of War 3, Skyrim, Mass Effect 2, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Little Big Planet 2, Batman Arkham City, Portal 2, Minecraft, Dynasty Warriors 7, Uncharted 3, Sonic Generations, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Super Monkey Ball 3D, Crisis 2, Pokemon Black and White, and Hyper Dimension Neptunia for you, Phil.
And Saints Row the Third.
Oh, there you go.
And Dragon Age
Assassin's
2.
Creed Revelations. Yeah.
Gage,
The Witcher
pick one
2.
from the list.
Fear 3.
What would you
Battlefield
pick
3.
from the list?
Infamous 2.
Damn.
Crisis 2. Where is it? Fuck, I lost it. Uncharted Golden Abyss. Rage. Lego
But
Pirates
Golden
of the
Abyss came
Caribbean.
out at the same time?
Yep. Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
The War in the North.
Nice.
And Terraria. Dude, 2011, I mean, for me, it has to be Skyrim. There's so many great games that came out that year that I adore. Uncharted 3, Uncharted Golden Abyss, Saints Row the Third, L.A. Noire, War in the North. There's just so many good games, but Skyrim has been...
We'll come back to Skyrim. We'll come back to Skyrim.
Dude, it's
I promise.
Skyrim. I mean, come on, it's Skyrim.
Philip, what about you?
So mine is Bastion.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I got to give a shout out to Super and Greg Kasavin because he left GameSpot to go become someone who makes video games, and he started working for EA. And then when at EA, he found a group of people to make Bastion with,
Mhm.
and was able to create one of the quintessential indie games that kind of is one of like 4 or 5 main indie titles that really started this whole revolution of indie games. So I absolutely have to give it to that game because the art style, the music, the voice acting, all of it was so spot on. The gameplay was fun. And so I think as far as my personal favorite, I would definitely have to go with Bastion.
It's a good choice.
Nice.
And lastly, what are you going for?
I'm actually going to give it to. I mean, it's obviously Skyrim, but I'm going to give it to Skyward Sword. So this game doesn't get a lot of love because of how horrible the motion controls are. And granted, that game has horrible motion controls. But the story is one of the best and emotional stories between Link and Zelda that I've ever played. I've never really gone into the stories very deep in Legend of Zelda. They've always been one of my favorite series, but this story got me emotional. Like there was multiple times that I teared up and I was like, this is a video game on the freaking Wii. What is happening? Why am I getting emotional? And so I think the story and the actual the gameplay minus the horrible controls, it's one of the best Zelda games, and it's overlooked because it's stuck on the Wii with those bad motion controls.
I
Definitely
definitely
chat.
have to add that to my list of shame there,
Mm.
because I've never actually played it. It's the only
Until
Zelda game.
they release it on the Switch or re-release it 20 years from now without motion controls, don't play it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
bad.
it's the only Zelda game that I never played.
Mm. All right,
So,
that leaves Kumail.
there was so many games in 2011 that are special to me, and I'm really sorry to have to do this. But 2011 was when I built my first custom PC, and I think the first game that I ever played on that custom PC was actually Crisis 2, and that game looked ridiculously good.
Yeah.
The gameplay was pretty fun. I can't remember much of the story, to be honest with you, but I remember the gameplay being really fun. So a big shout out to Crisis 2. Then you had Pokemon Black and White that came to the West finally, and that was one of the more innovative. Innovative? Is that the word? Innovative? I
Sure.
guess.
Innovative.
Innovative, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Innovative. Well, yes, innovative. Innovative Pokemon games where you had like brand new 150 Pokemon, no old Pokemon until you beat the game. And the story was actually one of the better stories in the franchise. So a big shout out to Pokemon Black and White.
Black and
Then you
White
had,
Nice.
really
sorry,
reinvigorated my love for Pokemon.
yeah,
And I think it's because all the Pokemon were different. It kind of
yeah,
gave me the same vibes um, as the older games, because it was all about new discovery and finding these new Pokemon.
yeah.
Also,
They
does
had the
anyone
seasons
remember
as
the
well.
story of any of the Crisis games?
No.
Vaguely. Vaguely.
Like I legit rolled credits on that game and I can't remember what the story is about. So it's larger
You
than
have a
anything to have a
super-powered
Pokemon.
suit and there's aliens involved. That's all I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's as far as my knowledge goes too.
What
Yeah.
did you
So
say, Kumail?
anything in Pokemon Black and White from you, Largent, before I move on to my next shout out of 2011.
No, I never actually played them till much later. So after Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out, it was a couple years before I played any other game. So I blew past them. Not gonna lie.
Fair enough. The next shout I'm going to give to is Dynasty Warriors 7. It's a Musou game. I love Musou games, and I think it's the first ever platinum I got on PlayStation as well. That's how much I love that game.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, Dynasty Warriors 7. Uncharted 3, and I guess now Golden Abyss as well. Uncharted 3 is one of my favorite Uncharted's. Second to Uncharted 4 now. Gage is just showing off his collection behind him. But yeah, big shout out to Uncharted 3. The last shout I'll give before my winner is FIFA 12. I just remember going to a friend's house like every day after school and just playing FIFA 12. It was just such a good game and one of the better FIFAs. I don't really enjoy the newer FIFAs, so yeah, shout out to FIFA 12. But yeah, everyone said it. The winner of that year is Skyrim. There's no doubt, dude. Like Skyrim, there's so many things you can do in that game. It's ridiculous. And the amount of hours I poured into that game was ridiculous. I actually played part of it in 3D as well. I wouldn't recommend it, but it was actually pretty funny playing in 3D. But just, yeah, Gage, let's talk about Skyrim. How good was Skyrim, dude?
Skyrim is one of those games that it's kind of funny because you can also say the same thing about Fallout 4. They're not necessarily the best games in those franchises. I think like Oblivion is probably the pinnacle of Elder Scrolls. It's got the best mixture of action RPG elements and the deep RPG stuff, but also being able to actually run around and hit people with your sword and actually have it make contact. Whereas like the games previous to that, there was a chance you would actually do damage. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, dude, Morrowind. Oh, I love it, but it's
Pretty
rough.
rough.
Um, what Skyrim and Fallout 4 did is although they took some of the charm away as far as like the deep elements with the role playing mechanics or the perk system or whatever you want to focus on, they streamlined so much of those games as far as storytelling, as far as um, gameplay goes, visuals, scope, all these things that happen to make them the easiest to go back to, like the most fun. I can go back and I can play Oblivion and it looks okay. It plays okay. I can go back and I can play Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas and they look okay and they play okay. But being able to jump into Skyrim and Fallout 4 anytime and go, this still feels good to play. Obviously, there's other games that do certain things better, but the fact that I can create my character, and shifting now to just Skyrim, I can create my character and I can go, cool, this time I'm going to go to straight to Riverwood, I'm going to talk to this guy, and then I'm going to go to Whiterun. Step by step, I'm going to do all the quests, kill Alduin, awesome. Or maybe this time I'm just going to go do the Civil War. I'm going to go join the Imperials. Or I'm going to join the Stormcloaks. And you have this entire war you have to fight on either side. And it affects the game world. You actually have missions where you have to take over cities or defend cities, and it actually changes aspects of the game. You have the Dark Brotherhood quest line, which isn't as good as Oblivion, but it's still really solid with the Night Mother and all these things, and the fact that at the end you get to summon the ghost of Lucy and the chance to help you in battle. Shadowmere, that's the name of the horse, right? Shadowmere?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say Shadowfax, but that's Lord of the Rings. You get Shadowmere back, so you get this amazing horse that's super fast. It's got the glowing red eyes. There's so many things about those games. Being able to buy a house, start a family, with the Hearthfire expansion, build a house, return to Morrowind with Dragonborn. The fact that you can do anything in that game in a multitude of different ways, be it your perk loadout or the class you're playing as, or just the way you interact with certain people. I don't know, it makes it something that if they released that game for $60 on every console generation moving forward, I would 100%.
Come to your fridge soon.
I would buy it
Let's
every single
let's not
time.
forget that you can mod that game on PC.
Oh,
And
yeah.
make
Thomas
it-
the Tank
make it
Engine
look
as a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Fantastic.
even mod the console versions now. Granted, there's a lot of restrictions. That the Xbox versions are still pretty open. There's some stuff you can't do, but for the most part, the Xbox versions can be modded pretty heavily. The PlayStation is a bit more limited, but the fact that they were able to bring mods to consoles, they added the Creation Club, which I, for one, love. I love the Creation Club. People, they get this skewed view of it where they think it's paid mods. Like, oh, it's a modder creates something, and now Bethesda's profiting from it. But if you just look at Bethesda's approach to it, that's not how it happens. These people come to Bethesda, they say, here's an idea, here's how it can be made, here's how it'll work in the game. And then Bethesda develops it in-house. They make it themselves. So they're doing all the work, and they're putting out this content for $5, $7, $10, whatever it is. And they're actually adding officially supported content that doesn't conflict with the game, it doesn't conflict with your mods, it doesn't, disable achievements or trophies. It's actually lore-based, official content they're releasing that's actually, a lot of the times, good shit. It's not just, they have skins, but it's not just skins. It's not like the freaking Valorant news that just came out where the game's free, but they're selling a skin for like $100 or something. Like,
Oh Jesus.
yeah,
Hey, you
Creation
gotta
Club.
prove your loyalty, dude.
There's a creation for Fallout 4 that came out that allows you to get in a vertibird and fly back to Galaxy News Radio in the DC Wasteland. And it's a small section, but you get to go there, you get to fight enemies, and you get all of this armor and stuff from Fallout 3 that wasn't in Fallout 4. So you get all these original, the were they Black Talon mercs? You get their awesome black combat armor. You get all the mercenary outfits from Fallout 3. Like, it's an actual, piece of DLC. And it's $10 or so. But they keep adding these things that make these games playable more so. Visual updates,
Can I
stuff
say
like that.
one thing really quick?
Yeah, go for it, dude. Please, cut me off. I'm going to go on forever.
No, you're good. This honestly has nothing to do with. It has more to do with the DLC train right now. But I was looking at Call of Duty Warzone skins last night, and the packs have like some stuff in there, but when you look at the cost ratio to those, they want $20 for this pack.
Yeah.
Of items that really don't do anything for you other than change the way you look. And I feel like, I think you and I have talked about this, Kumail, but if
I totally
they
didn't spend
change
£15 on an anime pack, by the way.
I
I totally
if they
didn't do
change if they changed that to $5, you know, $7, $8, somewhere around
Mm.
there, I feel like it'd be much more reasonable.
Yeah.
But like right now, when you look at just getting a single skin for $20 in a video game, is just insane to me. I mean, that's 1/3 of the price. Like, so people will sit here and complain about a $60 video game, but then they're fine with a $20 skin inside Warzone because it's free to play. That's
Was it Neil
1/3 the
Druckmann?
cost of the game that
Was
you
it Neil
were
Druckmann
just
today who
complaining
said that
about.
he would welcome the increase of game prices, and he thinks that that would combat all these microtransactions being about slash being too expensive. I don't know. It's a theory.
It might have been. It
Yeah.
might have been, but
Yeah, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
fair,
I don't.
fair.
I don't think that that's really going to change anything. Honestly, I think that we're going to see these $20 microtransactions and increase in game cost.
Yeah.
But hey, shout out to Skyrim who did something for free where you could go around, find new words, get new abilities from those words. And my favorite thing in Skyrim was to go around, look for chickens, and first throw Darum off a cliff. It was
Yeah.
so fun, dude.
It's a fun game.
I just
Thanks for
loved
getting
it.
us back on track there.
Like GTA games were like the games that I used to go to just to log on, do some random stuff, and then log back out and do the same sort of rubbish every single day. And Skyrim, after beating the story, I would just go back to the game and do something completely different, something completely random, and just mess about for a good 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Skyrim. Shout out to Skyrim.
Yeah. It's one of those games I start a new character on like every 4 months, where I start a new character, I start over from scratch, and I play through the whole story again. And yeah, it's just timeless fun. It never feels like it gets old,
Yeah.
which is
Hell yeah.
awesome.
For me, it
Heck
was like
yeah.
I was never into like tabletop D&D, but Skyrim was the game that was D&D for me. And like you said, it's so like since them taking out all these like our deep RPG mechanics, it's easier to get back into and just start.
Yeah.
That's very true because I would just start new characters and build the lore like for myself and whatnot, and just like I can jump in at any point and kind of do whatever I want and build those characters. And that's something pretty special. And I mean, I love Oblivion, but how deep that was, I committed to one character and one character only. And being able to jump in at any point and start a new character and a new story was something really special. And that game is a fantastic pick for 2011. And if you were able to play it during that time, it really was something special. I remember writing 11/11/11 its launch date in like a notebook, like can't wait, it's counting down,
I remember,
and
yeah, at school every day we would like just talk about how excited we were for Skyrim. That's so much fun.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that game
Yeah,
did something special. Sorry to cut you off, Phil. Did something special with like it fed my nostalgia with it being brand new, which was really weird. Like it just felt timeless as soon as it came out, and I
Yeah.
think that's a testament to it as well. Go ahead,
I
Phil.
agree.
What I was going to say is Skyrim was one of those games that when I picked it up, I went to the midnight release and I picked up a copy for my wife, my brother-in-law, and myself. I dropped it off at his house, installed it for him because he was out of town at the time, and then went home, installed it for my wife because she was also out of town with him. I think they were at a family thing, maybe for like early Thanksgiving or something, and so I got it all in, and then for literally months straight, we would all be in Discord, talking to each other while playing a single player game, and just talking about all the crazy stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And those memories are irreplaceable. You're gonna remember that for as long for every new Elder Scrolls game that comes out. You're gonna think of that time with Skyrim, and I
100%.
think that's something super cool.
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of how, I mean, for Skyrim, the launch kind of sucks because I was there for the midnight release. But when I got home, I only played for an hour or so because we had like a family get together the next day. So we had to go there, and the whole time I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home and play Skyrim. But I kind of had that experience with Fallout 4. Largen and I hung out. I pre-ordered the Pip-Boy edition, and it's like, cool, it's gonna arrive 2 weeks after the game launches. So I'm like, shit. I buy the digital version. I start downloading it. We go to leave for the 9 p.m. release of Fallout 4, and I look at my downloader, and it's like, I still have like 6 or 7 hours left. This is when my internet was still pretty crappy. So it's like, okay, it's going to be done at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We're about to go get Largen's copy. He's going to be able to play at like 10 p.m. So let's just go and see what happens. We went, had this awesome time. Like, we went to McDonald's, all this shit, went to GameStop and waited. We go in there, pick up his copy, and I'm like, here's $60. Can I buy one too? And they're like, here you go. So we both came back to my house, popped in our discs, and from, the get-go, we were both playing Fallout 4 at the same time. And it was an awesome experience seeing how we went different places, chose different dialogue options, and how it actually affected the story and how the characters reacted, and just to kind of see the diversity of how those games, treat each individual choice. It's pretty cool to actually see that in, a side-by-side comparison. So, it was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Good time. Now, anybody else have anything on Skyrim or 2011 games?
Just a solid year in gaming, really, is what you have to say.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to get to the more interesting one now. So we're going to start with 1995.
Why?
Well, to be fair, Kumail, yours wasn't. No, I'm kidding. Only reason I say that is because Large and I share the birth year and obviously the year we turned 18. So it's going to be, for the birth year, it's going to be interesting because there's not very many good games that came out. But the year we turned 18, that's like when everything came out. So that's what I mean when I say it's going to be more interesting. Not just because Kumail's sucked.
I'm just playing.
Some would argue that it's going to be less interesting. Both of you guys were in the same years. Man.
Hey, Phil? You're not hosting this fucking podcast.
Oh no, he's all mad with power.
Oh my god, my monitor's on fire too. Jesus. Why is everything so hot in here?
It's
Okay.
all that gauge rage.
It is. It's just my fury building up. So, 1995, year of the PlayStation in America. It came out in 94 in Japan, but I don't count that. I count the American release because that's one that actually counts. Not very many games came out for it. So not many very games came out, period. The 64 wasn't out yet. It's not a couple years before that came out. So it was like arcade games, some PC games, and like 2 or 3 PlayStation games. I had the list of them up, but I closed it because it wasn't worth reading. But what I will say is the one that I picked anyway was Twisted Metal. Came out 1995. It is arguably not a great game, but especially for the time and kind of the franchise that it created that lasted, 15 years or so, it's a fun game. I played that game a lot growing up, and just being able to find the cheat code that allow you to go into first person and be able to see your dash and the steering wheel and stuff like that, even though it was a crappy low resolution texture, it was still cool just being able to pick a character and go, I'm in a city, I'm in a car with machine guns on it, and I'm blowing shit up. This is awesome. So that's kind of my choice for the 95 game. I don't have much more to say because the game is shallow as hell. So Largent, what's your pick for 1995's best game?
Sure, yeah, and mine, I know it was on the cusp of the 64 coming out in 96 for us. But a lot of people were still playing SNES games along with the PS1, and mine happens to be Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. And I think that game still holds up pretty well today. I think it's on the SNES Switch online thing, and if it is, definitely go play it because it's a great game.
Sure.
I didn't play this game till much later. Obviously, I was born in 95, but I remember playing it probably in my early teens and really enjoying it. And I think it holds up for a platformer. And obviously Yoshi's adorable and really cool. So I think that's definitely got to be my pick for 95.
I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, that one's really solid too. Kumail, you're pretty silent. Do you have any input on this?
No, I literally have no input on this.
That's what I thought.
Come on, you're 2 years old and you have nothing.
Yeah, no, I think my first console was PlayStation 1, so yeah. Nice.
So I guess that just brings us straight to PlayStation, or the 2013, which the PlayStation 4 launch year, which was pretty cool. Ironically enough, there's only 2 games on this list that actually came just to PlayStation 4. Everything else was one of those really shitty, oh, you bought it on PS3 2 months ago? Well, now you have to pay $10 to upgrade it to your PS4 version. Like what Call of Duty Ghosts did. I love that game.
It's smart delivery, dude.
Attacked by my cat right now. Really?
Oh,
dude, you're gonna get ran over. But yeah, 2013 had some. Again, pretty much the years we turned 18 so far. We've had 2004, which was a big year. 2011, which was a big year. But then with 2013, we get Assassin's Creed 4. We get Tomb Raider reboot, Bioshock Infinite, The Last of Us, Grand Theft Auto 5, Battlefield 4, Aliens Colonial Marines. Let's see. Dota 2 came out that year. Dota 2 freaking sucks, but hey, it's big. So, yeah, the Crisis 3, Arkham Origins, Blackgate. There's a lot of stuff that came out that year. But for me anyway, it's got to go to Grand Theft Auto 5. I think The Last of Us obviously has a better story. I mean, the first Last of Us game is phenomenal. I love Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Didn't care too much for Tomb Raider. Didn't care too much for Bioshock Infinite. But the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5 has taken a franchise that everybody was kind of set on, like not even just the franchise, the genre. Everybody kind of knew what they were getting with a Grand Theft Auto game, or just an open world game of that nature. And they took it up a notch by saying, hey, this time we're gonna have 3 protagonists, and you're able to switch between them whenever you want. So you can play Franklin's missions or Trevor's missions, missions where they come together. You can swap between them, and they each have different skills. They have different roles that they play during the mission. So if you're doing a heist or something, you'll play as Franklin in this one part, but then once you get into a car, you play as this person, or just how they kind of changed up the gameplay by giving you 3 different people to play as. But not only that, but they also launched Grand Theft Auto Online 2 weeks after the game launched, I think. It was a terrible launch. I played for like 10 hours one day, logged on the next day, and my character was deleted, so that was great. It wasn't playable for like a month after that, but the fact they still took the Grand Theft Auto experience and went from what they had previously in GTA 4, which was you're in the open city, but it's empty. There's some game modes you can play on occasion, and actually made it a fully fledged kind of persistent world that they keep adding to over time, adding different things you can do in the open world, or game modes like the Flight School DLC, I think it was called, that came out like a year or something after, where they added all these new races and stuff that now you're in an airplane, or the heists, or bikers DLC, or gun runners, all these things that they expand upon this very simple concept with, even 7 years after it initially launched, is ridiculous. How much money that game brings in, how many people still play it, how much sway that game has had on the gaming industry as a whole. We would have never got Red Dead Redemption 2 the way it is if Grand Theft Auto 5 didn't hit. If that game was not as popular as it was, Red Dead Redemption 2 would have taken a totally different direction. They probably would have not even done it. We probably would have never got Red Dead Online.
I think
It's just...
they literally created one of the most prolific online digital playgrounds. So,
exactly.
I mean, have you ever checked out Theft Auto role-playing servers?
I haven't played any, but I've seen them on YouTube and stuff, and it's awesome. It's so cool.
I know people that literally have like, jobs that they do like within Grand Theft Auto, and the fact that is something that can exist is crazy.
Yeah, I've seen so many videos. Like, it's so cool that there's players who they're just cops. They literally sit on the side of the road. They have a radar gun and they wait. And if another player comes by and speeds, they go and they pull them over. And they actually play out things. There's you can be a convenience store owner or whatever, and you're literally role playing as these characters, which is awesome.
Which is funny because how shallow the role play mechanics or like RNG mechanics are in that RPG. Excuse me, mechanics are in that game. They're very, very, very shallow.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that people are just taking it to the next level by implementing those themselves. It's kind of cool.
It is impressive how big that game has gotten, and how it's just kind of blanketed the industry. Like, you can't talk about best games ever, or best selling games, or most popular games or most influential games. You can't talk about anything like that without mentioning Grand Theft Auto 5. You just can't at this point. And love it or hate it, it's going to be the next Skyrim, where Rockstar is going to put that shit on everything they can. Oh, we're putting it on PlayStation 4. We're remastering the graphics, but you have to buy it again. Oh, we're bringing it to PlayStation 5. We're probably going to have to buy it again, even though I already own 2 copies of it.
The online for that game is ridiculous. I mean, I remember playing so many hours with my friends for the online, and it came to the point where Rockstar themselves have said we're going to have to artificially kill this game one of these days because it's just too popular. It's just and like you said, you bring it to PlayStation 5 now. It's just people are not going to stop playing it. They're going to play it even more. They're going to buy it again. It's mental.
I can't wait, and I can't wait to play it on PlayStation 5 for the story again. I mean, it's not a perfect story, but I like those characters enough. I like that world enough that I'm excited to be able to play it on a new console. It's gonna, look a bit better, hopefully run at 60 frames per second, but be able to experience that story again. I've got it on PC. It looks great on my PC. I can have high frame rates and stuff, but PC gaming is garbage. Okay, I'm just saying. I hate PC gaming. It's fucking stupid. Okay, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to boot GTA 5 from Steam and then have to let it boot the Rockstar launcher as well just to play the freaking game. I own the game.
I can agree on that.
Okay,
point, then.
I have to have 2 separate launchers for this one game, and then when I finally boot it up, it's like, cool. Here's all your graphics options, and they have 2 menus. They have their basic graphics options, which are like this long, and then you have your advanced options. So you're going through like, okay, I'm tweaking this, and this. Then you go to the advanced and it's like, are you freaking kidding me? No, I have to change all this too, and it's showing you like, oh, you're only using this much of your graphics card, and it's like in the green, so I should be fine. You go play the game and it's like, why the hell am I only running at 50 frames per second? Oh, I gotta go and I gotta adjust this. It looks great, but I'm not gonna spend all that time sitting at my desk with a mouse and keyboard. Who the hell wants to play Grand Theft Auto with a mouse and keyboard?
For more rants, you can follow him at GF2Cool on
Please
Twitter.
Don't. Please don't.
Small aside on that, Gage. As a game developer yourself, how are you going to remedy these problems?
Not put my games on PC. I'm kidding. That's all I can put it on. I don't know how to fucking port games.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you can put it on Switch somehow.
Can we get an F in the comments section for PC, please?
Yes.
Please, F in the comments section for PC gaming and other turbo.
So does step aside.
Hey, no.
From...
I meant for your games on PC. I like PC games.
Oh well.
his PC game specifically.
Thought we were friends, but go for it.
To step aside from probably the biggest game in the past decade, I'm gonna go with one of the most mediocre Pokemon games, which is Pokemon X, and I guess X and Y, they're kind of lumped together. For 2013 for me. You guys mentioned that you got back in kind of reinvigorated by Generation 5, which was Pokemon Black and White. And having skipped that generation, 6th gen is when I got back into it. And I actually really liked it. I didn't love the Pokemon models. I thought it was cool to see them in 3D for the first time. I do miss the sprites, and I still miss the sprites. But this is the first Pokemon game I played all the way through, got the Pokedex filled out, and it was 800 Pokemon, which is insane. So it was fun to learn. For me, it was fun to learn all of the new Pokemon from Gen 6 and Gen 5 since I skipped it. So there was 200 new Pokemon for me to discover, and along with all the other old ones that I fell in love with years ago. So I think this one holds a special place in my heart. It may not be the best, and I don't hold it in the highest regard on the list of Pokemon games, but I do think it was a good game that came out in 2013, and I'm definitely a Nintendo guy, so I had to put a Nintendo game in there.
Can I join you with the? Sorry, Phil, go ahead.
I was just going to say I fall on the exact opposite spectrum of the 3D graphics. It was so cool to me to see all the 20% more animations that everything had, 3D instead of 2D sprites, and seeing them all have kind of these cool idle animations. Just reimagining what the full 3D look of a Pokemon would be. I thought that was actually really neat.
It really did push the 3DS to its limit as well. The 3D in that game.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
frame rate.
For sure, for sure. No,
But
I do like it. It's just I'm such a nostalgia driven person that like those fights being gone, it's like, oh, my heart hurts. It's like,
I definitely had some nice feelings when they added Fat Pikachu back to
oh yeah.
Shield.
Mhm.
And I think
Because
it's the
that was
first game
one
where
thing I did miss. But
you actually hear Pikachu say Pikachu,
that's
instead of
true.
the Pikachu synthy noise. So
Well, I think they might have done that in Let's Go, actually.
no, but I mean like the first ever time,
Oh
like
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, instead of it being the normal sound. But like, do you know what? Pokemon X and Y, the first Pokemon game to be in 3D, it was always going to be like, how are they going to do this? And they somehow pulled it off. Now, whilst
Yeah.
I follow in the camp where I preferred the 2D games to 3D, but that's probably just based on nostalgia and stuff like that. It was really impressive how they pulled it off, and I think Pokemon X and Y had a lot going for it. So, like you, Largent, it was the first ever game I completed my Pokédex in. But the soundtrack as well was incredible. They had this electronic sort of synthy soundtrack where I think definitely the legendary theme, Elite Four theme, the gym leader theme, were all like some of my favorite themes from that game. It was amazing. Yeah, two protagonists that were designed really cool in Caleb and Serena. You had great new Pokemon added in there like Volcanion. You had Greninja. Um,
One
like
of my
yeah, no
personal
Pokemon.
favorites was Noivern.
Yeah,
He's not
Noivern was
super
pretty cool.
he's
Yeah.
not super good, but he's really fast. He's kind of a glass cannon, but just the designs they had for brand new Pokemon in the 3D models was really cool.
Just
Did
tell me, did you have any like? Did sorry, Phil? Do you know the villains? Did you get all the patterns for for villain? Because I went like a madman to get all those patterns for it.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
yeah, that was a journey, dude.
It
Going
really
on like
was.
forums and stuff like that. Sorry, Phil. Go
Hmm.
ahead. That's what I've got
did
for Pokemon X and Y.
did our resident Pokemaster just say that the first game he filled out his Pokedex in was X and Y?
That is indeed the case. It's another story for another day. But like when I got into like secondary school, bullying was rife for Pokemon games, so I kind of had to close it myself off from that franchise for a little while. So yeah,
I feel that pain. My best friend sitting right there bullies me all the time about Pokemon, so I feel that.
but yeah, you know, like, yeah, and I go back into my love for Pokemon
Hey Siri,
because I
Yeah.
care about them in
text
other people's
Largent.
lives. But yeah,
I had the
I think
luxury
sorry.
Pokemon is
of
trash and
being
so are you.
someone that didn't have to worry about being bullied. So I do. That sucks.
So have you got anything else on Pokemon X and Y, Largent? Because I've got some games I want to give a shout from 2013.
Sure, yeah. My last point on it, like you mentioned, this was your first game you completed the Pokedex, and it was the same for me, and not because I hadn't tried before. They made it easier to obtain all the Pokemon, and that's because of how well they built the trade system and the global connectivity system. Last time I tried was in Gen 4, and it was pretty clunky and very slow. So I
Oh,
think the system that they put in place for people to be able to do that and trade really helped out people like you and I. So
how can we forget Wonder Trading? You
I
know?
know it's
Oh my
awesome.
god! Yeah, that was such a fun mechanic. But
Mhm.
also, GF gets to like, well, ends up.
I was literally about to say that Wonder Trade and the fact that we is huge.
Yeah, dude, and it's still a mechanic that's used to this day.
What are you looking at?
Well, albeit a lesser point
Stop.
in video games.
Stop. Go away.
But yeah, anyway, 2013, right? Some of the greatest games ever came out that year. You had Rogue Legacy. Shout out to Ben. Like
Oh.
where most roguelikes want to emulate Rogue Legacy. I think most people would say. You had One Piece Pirate Warriors 2. Me being a Muso fan, me being a One Piece fan, it was like a dream come true. And this game sort of had its own original story rather than rehashing the one from the manga / the anime. So that was great. You had Killzone Shadowfall on PS4, and I really loved the multiplayer in that game. So shout out to that. You had Nino Kuni, which was like this charming story, shell shaded graphics. Studio Ghibli worked on the animated sequences, and they actually had Joe Hisaishi. I think that's how you say his name. Hisaishi work on the original score for the game. You had Persona 4 Arena, which was like the fighting game for Persona 4, and I think Phil, you know how good the soundtrack in that game is, and how fun
I know how good that game is.
The mechanics with the fighting and stuff, it was really good.
I still play Ultimax.
Oh man, my PS3 is like just dead at this point, so it's impossible for me to play it. And I think one more game that I think Phil you can chime in on is Tales of Xillia, which is like my most played Tales game ever.
Nice. That's a great choice.
Yeah, so
One of the last ones to come out on PlayStation 3.
What game?
So there was something. Ni no Kuni, arguably the best Pokemon game that's not part of the Pokemon franchise.
Yeah, because it had that battle system where you collect all these creatures and then use these creatures in battle. The difficulty in that game ramped up. It just spiked for no reason.
Hardcore.
That game. Yeah. Anyway, this is how we feel, Gage. By the way, just to let you know.
I figured.
I'll give you back the reins. There you go.
No, go for it. That's why we have this show, is so you guys can talk about your trash opinions. I'm kidding. No, I love hearing you guys talk about that stuff because my insight only goes so far. Like I don't know that much about certain games, and there's certain games I don't like, so I'm not going to talk about them. So it's good to have you guys on here to actually, widen the spectrum of what we actually
One day
discuss.
we'll strap you to a chair and make you play them. Don't you worry about the brother.
Don't threaten me with a good time. So that basically covers everyone's years, right? Like we did birth year and ending year for all of them.
And just to throw it in there before we move on to the next point, I know he wasn't.
There is one thing.
There is. We had to shout out Tony Hawk's Underground for Mr. Ben. Please be excited. So go check him out if you want to see some other awesome games on. Please be excited on Twitter.
I also want to
please be excited plays every Saturday.
Give a quick shout out to Josh. God, where was he?
Oh shit!
Was his birth year 2003, Josh?
It's like 2016.
Okay.
Oh God, where was it? He said what he wanted and the year it was.
So Phil, whilst Gage
best game of 2017 is Injustice 2 because it's the only game he played that came out that year.
Fair enough. Well, people say the Injustice games had a really good story. I can't really comment for myself because I wasn't too into superheroes at that point. But
yeah, the stories. I played the first one. I eventually just watched like a supercut of all the cutscenes of 2 because I don't really like. I'm not a big fighting game fan, but yeah, the story of 2 was awesome. I mean, the story of the first one was good too.
So Gage, are we moving topics? Because there was one thing I wanted to ask on the podcast to a member of ours who's been playing this one game that you want to stop talking about.
Go for it.
Begrudgingly. So Philip J. Woodward over here playing this game called what? Crosscode? And why do I need to play it? Why do I need to play it?
So Crosscode was originally announced back in 2015. It was developed in HTML5 and by a company called Radical Fish Game, and it was like a labor of love for them. They started a Kickstarter for it that ended up being successful, and the game officially released in 2018, and it's been expanded upon since then through updates and things like that. But it finally got its console release yesterday, or day before yesterday. Thursday. It was Thursday. So yeah. And I knew I was going to buy it because, I like to support indie games, and especially games that are like a labor of love like that. I absolutely had to try it out, but I didn't expect to fall in love with it as much as I did. It's a 16-bit art style, and everything is kind of in an isometric perspective, kind of that classic, Zelda or Final Fantasy, camera angle.
Yeah, this game looks
But what's
beautiful.
interesting about it is all of the different levels and heights of terrain can actually be. There's like a kind of like a step system where if you can get to the lowest point, you can kind of grapple up, and it's a Zelda style grapple where you don't have to press a jump button or anything; you just kind of automatically do it.
Nice.
And so there's all this kind of vertical exploration in this flat 2D game that leads to secrets and things to find. wrapped in a good combat system, kind of a twin stick shooter style of
Okay.
combat where you can move and shoot at the same time.
It's not like
And
Looks
it's
awesome.
not like one of those turn-based games that I thought it was actually going to be.
No, it's
no,
actually
it's
a
not
good
turn
game. It
based at
looks like.
all. And so,
Gauge is
so
it has
you've got that you've got that twin stick shooter element of it, but then you've also got a more close range combat to it where you can do combos and things like that. And then as you progress in the game, you level up, you get new armor, you get new abilities, and you use these abilities to combat different enemies. And there's stuff like elemental resistance.
it kind of sounds
Yeah,
like
you cut
Monster
out.
Hunter with these
You cut out there for a second.
resistances.
Um, so there's like elemental abilities where um, if you're fighting cold enemies, you can use your heat abilities to kill them faster and stuff like that. And then it's all wrapped up in this story that is have you ever heard of a dot hack,
Yeah,
the
I've
dot
heard of
hack
it.
series,
It's
or
been
Sword
around
Art?
for like years at this point, hasn't it? Dot hack.
Yeah, right. um, Sword Art Online, Westworld, uh, movie Gamer starring Gerard Butler, any of those where you're a person going into like a virtual reality kind of set or
Okay.
scene,
Mhm.
and you take control of this artificial being. Unlike Gamer or like Westworld, where Westworld you're actually going there, or Gamer where you're taking over a real person. In this game, you're taking over like an artificial being. It's an artificially created organic being.
So was it like a
Um,
shell before then, and then once you go into the game, you become that artificial being?
yeah, you're that artificial being. You're that shell, but it takes place in the real world. So there are like
Oh,
real people that are maintaining this island. You don't generally see them. You interact with some of them, but I don't want that part of it. Um, but most of the people you interact with are NPCs or quote unquote players that are NPCs, but they're like meant to be other players playing the game. And you see the edges of that, the limitations of that. Like you don't necessarily sit there and think, oh, these are real people. But the writing is good, and almost every sprite on the screen has something to say. So it kind of adds that immersion. Overall, yeah, it's gameplay is very fluid. It's not an easy game. There are some difficult. Uh, the combat itself is difficult, and there's actually a disclaimer at the beginning that says, "Hey, we need to be at the difficulty it's at, and this want you to try playing it as kind of like Celeste,
Mhm.
where Celeste is like, keep going, keep trying. But we also have all these accessibility options. Well, so does Crosscode. So if you want to make it easier on your thing, then absolutely change it. But the developers really strive to try and get you to play it on the normal difficulty. And one of the nice things about it is it saves every screen you move to. So if you do end up hitting an enemy that's like on the next screen that's just shit, I didn't. And you get crushed instantly. At the very least, you start at the that you moved in on. Again,
Nice.
very
I,
similar to
I
Celeste.
remember Tales of Zillia where you just go to a random section of the map and then there's like level 60 monsters. You're like, oh no,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
no. So I've
Another one,
got three
another
questions for
great
you.
one like that is Xenoblade 2 for the Switch.
Hmm.
Just wandering around the environment of that game, like a 126 monster just mobs on your face, and you're like, cool, there's an hour of progress left.
Three questions. First question: are you playing this on PS4 or are you playing this on Switch? Second question: is it one of those sort of 80-hour games or is it shorter than that? And then three, you mentioned accessibility, but with you being sort of colorblind for people who don't know, what are the options like in the game for well, in terms of accessibility in general?
So one of the things that's been nice so far is everything seems to be designed with like a blue orange color palette,
Hmm.
the things that you need to see. So I haven't had like a colorblind issue yet. So I haven't needed to delve into the accessibility options too much. So unfortunately, I don't have much to say on that one. On your second point, it is a 100 plus hour game with
Okay.
more content being added all the time. So it's something that you could, chip away at over a long period of time. I feel like, as you get more advanced abilities, it might everything, but at the same time, like the gameplay itself is simple enough to where I feel like you could get by until you remembered everything. If you were to set it down for a long period of time. And then what was your first question again?
Just where you're playing it on.
Oh, so I'm playing it on the Switch, which unfortunately, Gage is going to get a smile out of. Even though it's a 16-bit game, it was a very difficult porting process due to the fact that it was a code that was not meant to be on the Switch. They actually had to use like a script writer to take the original script and move it over to a different coding language so that they could get it running. I just see Cage nodding. To get it running on the Switch, and because of that, it does have some optimization issues where there's some frame hitching when you're moving around, and the menus sometimes will take a couple seconds to load. As far as I know, the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC versions don't have those issues. But that is something to note on the Switch. However, it is minor enough to where it hasn't, at least at this point in the game where I'm at, which I'm maybe 10-ish hours in so far,
You're
it
only
hasn't.
Gage is just smirking throughout all of this.
It hasn't really like deterred me from continuing to play.
Fair enough. I mean, I might not buy on Switch because I've got Joy-Con drift, and I'm refusing to buy new Joy-Cons until I can send mine back and they can fix it.
Nice.
I think
Joy-Con drift.
for the portability and being able to set it down and pick it back up and how it saves on every screen, I think it's pretty great for the Switch as far as the game design itself. But yeah, as far as running on the Switch, not so.
He's brought his Vita, and it's actually such a good point.
It's a great color.
Just saying, I can play Skyrim on my Vita with remote play. So, what you got, Nintendo?
Skyrim.
You
Skyrim.
It's true. They do have Skyrim.
Oh, yeah, cat.
Mhm.
Dude, stop.
I have the Master Sword. It's great.
It's true.
Wait,
But
what?
I think that's
Yeah.
Casey, God, what are you doing,
Mind
buddy?
Mind blown. So no,
That's a
thanks
really
for-
cool plug for Crosscode. I hadn't noticed it on the whatever the Switch shop is called, but I'll have to check it out. It sounds really cool.
It sounds
no idea
awesome.
how you've managed to dodge Phil just talking about every single bloody day. But fair play, dude. Well
To be
done.
fair, Largent hasn't been super active in the group chat the past couple of days.
See the Johto video, Largent.
He's probably
Which is fair.
probably doing the right thing and spending time with his wife.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
Unfortunately. Is she gonna watch this?
Oh God, who knows?
Speaking of,
But yeah, so if you like Zelda or like Secret of Mana, it's like a more modernized version of like the 2D Zelda Secret.
Cool.
so I want to give a shout out. Speaking of game shout outs right now, Stardew Valley, still a great game. By the way, it's been out for a long time. I didn't know this, but they added the co-op to the console version. I don't know when. It could have been a long time ago, but I remember the last time I played this game, like 6 months ago, it was only single player. But it currently does have co-op. So if you guys want a really awesome overall game, Stardew Valley co-op.
That's
Are you-
interesting.
It's good shit.
Co-op was actually implemented late last year for the
Sweet.
Nintendo Switch. So
Yeah, it's fairly new to me, so just give a plug to that game. Also, I want to give a plug to PlayStation Plus. It's what the 10-year anniversary, and they gave us really shitty games this month. So great.
Wait, what did they give?
I don't know.
Oh.
I know that I own whatever it is. I can't
Okay.
remember what it is though. Oh,
I can
God.
tell you, it's NBA 2K20,
Okay, I don't own that, and I
um,
won't, because fuck.
Tomb Raider, Rise or whatever. I forget what the
Okay.
second one.
That
Why?
was one of my favorite games of
Why?
recent times. Rise of the Tomb
And
Raider.
then
Erica. I know that one's.
Erica,
It
which
just.
I'm kind of excited to check out Erica.
I've heard it's not great. I've heard a lot of people say good things. A lot of people say bad things. But the fact that it's like, hey, it's the 10-year anniversary of PlayStation Plus, and they give us third-party games.
What did you want, Gage?
God,
Go on, let's hear
anything.
this.
So,
They gave you anything.
shut
You're
up,
not happy.
shut up. Anything first party. The bonus game could have been Nathan Drake Collection. That was free a while ago, but this could have been like, hey, if you never picked it up back then, you can now pick up Nathan Drake Collection. But they could have done something like a big blowout where it's like, hey, we're doing Nathan Drake Collection, we're doing Infamous Second Son, Killzone Shadowfall. Just like some of the big PlayStation 4 titles that are old enough that Guerrilla's not making money off of Killzone Shadowfall right now. Why not make it free?
I was gonna say Killzone Shadowfall.
It's cheap as chips as well to buy that game. It's like £6.
Did Infamous Second Son come through? It looked like my mic dropped.
No, it dropped.
Yeah, so Infamous Second Son would have been the other one that I
Yeah.
would have liked.
It would have been nice just to have
game.
like PlayStation games, you know, like games people relate to the system. Giving us an NBA game,
Colin, give us Knack. You know, give us Knack.
no, don't give us Knack. Don't give us Knack 2.
Hey,
Please
it's
don't
the
ever
main
make Knack 3.
So you want Knack? You're gonna get Knack.
But it's just, it was so disappointing to see that like that's their big 10-year blowout. Like, really? You've had great deals in the past, but it's kind of bizarre
Ratchet
for me to do this.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
Ratchet
I don't
and
know.
Clank. Hell, Spider-Man. It would have been cool if it's like, hey, you know, you still have to buy the DLC, but the base game of Spider-Man's now free to try to get people who haven't played it hyped up for Miles Morales when it comes out this holiday. Like, there's plenty of options they could have gotten away with as far as marketing goes. The Last of Us Remastered. Part 2
Okay,
just dropped. You can play the first Last of Us and, you know,
Real
get the
talk.
second one.
For Spider-Man Miles Morales, do we think that it's going to come on PlayStation 4?
No. I have a feeling it's not going to be PlayStation 4. I think it's going to be PS5 exclusive.
So there hasn't been an official announcement, but there was a announcement from Sony saying that they were developing PlayStation 4 exclusive. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they are not going to co-develop, but I'm really interested because I think there are a lot of people going to come to PlayStation 4. But I agree with you, Gage. I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's possible it could be, but the thing is, just the little bit they showed from Miles Morales, you can clearly tell it's running on a PlayStation 5 and not a PlayStation 4. And if you just take the go ahead.
I was going to say the detail in his suit, the architecture in his facial construction, like looks way more detailed.
Yeah.
Than the Miles Morales from the PlayStation 4 version.
Yeah, everything
and all that
about
stuff looked in game.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple segments where he's moving around and it looks like it's in game. It's not just a cutscene. So that's gonna be the interesting thing because while yes, they could technically put it on PlayStation 4, it's going to be such a vastly inferior product that I don't think it would be worth doing.
I think if it was designed from the ground up with a PlayStation 5, you're gonna get the Switch effect.
Yeah.
Where things are just gonna, have anti-aliasing because it's not optimized for PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Lower resolution textures here or there because they couldn't get them to load in the way they want.
Think of like Shadow of the Colossus. Like Miles Morales, you're getting the PlayStation 4 remake of Shadow of Colossus. But if you buy the PS4 version of Miles Morales, you're getting that HD up-res they did for PlayStation 3. It's the same game, but it looks entirely different because you're running on, less than half the power, basically. Or I guess roughly about half the power or something like that. So
it's about half with the PlayStation 4.
/ he did the maths.
Look, PS4 Pro is what, 4.2? 4.5 teraflops, I think, for the GPU. Because as we all know, teraflops mean everything. That's how you equate power, according to all the Xbox fanboys out there. Which is ironic because my Xbox One X, which has 6 point something teraflops, nothing on there looks as good as Last of Us Part 2 does. So, just saying. But like even the
Can
PlayStation.
you feel that? Can you feel those gunshots?
Look, anybody who brings up an argument and they seriously mention teraflops being the defining factor is a moron who knows nothing about hardware at all.
And I don't necessarily disagree.
You don't even have to know the in-depth, you don't have to know every in and out of every CPU or architecture or GPU or, what's the big difference between an SSD and an HDD or an M.2 or...
My computer boots up in 10 seconds compared to like 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you just know the simple stuff like, hey, if your game is properly designed, properly optimized, you can push so much visual fidelity or frame rate out of a little bit of power. Like God of War, Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding. Took the PS4 Pro and the base PS4 and made those games look that good.
So Phil
And run
Spencer
well.
Phil Spencer was talking about how Xbox One games and Xbox Series X games are going to be like PC, where the Xbox One games are going to be just like PC, where the graphics and stuff is down res and stuff like that. But I don't totally buy that they're going to be the same experience and the graphics are the only thing that changed. I can't fathom how that works.
The problem is,
first-party games.
I think the big issue that they're not focusing on, Phil Spencer, I like him. He seems great. They're focused too much on graphics. That's their big thing. Is like, oh, we've got graphics. Oh, my teraflops. Look at, we're going to be able to do 120 frames per second. We can do 8K, blah, blah, blah. It's like PlayStation can do all that stuff too. Maybe not quite to the same point. But PlayStation isn't out there going, we have the best looking games. They're going, hey,
we have the best games.
We've
full stop.
Well, the fact of the matter is, in a couple years, your new Xbox Series X game is not going to be playable on an older Xbox because the way games are designed is
that's the
fundamentally changing. If you have a fast SSD, you have plenty of RAM, you have a fast enough processor and graphics card, you're going to design your game to allow you to have this big open world with minimal loading. If you put that onto an older console that is stuck with a hard drive, your game's not going to run. That's why you have loading screens. That's why all the cities in Skyrim are separate spaces. They're not part of the main world. That's why Jedi Fallen Order has all those narrow pathways you have to walk through, because that's how long it takes for a hard drive to load. But if games don't have that with, from the get-go, they're not going to run on older hardware. It's just impossible.
And this is something that I've been saying now. Next generation is this is the first generation of console in a really long time that's challenging the PC space.
Exactly.
Because PCs are going to have if game developers opt the design choices to make these new hard drives the number one way of playing your video games, PCs are going to have to move to these new hard drives if they want to play these games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how powerful your graphics card is or your CPU is. It cannot make your game load faster if you're running a hard drive. It just can't, because that drive is a spinning disk at a locked speed. You cannot go, oh, well, I bought a new processor, so clearly things are going to run faster. No, it might help a little bit, but you're still stuck with that.
And if you even with solid state drives, they're still a lot slower than these newer drives. They're towards the year in Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And it's going to make a world of difference for game development and the way that packages, game development packages are compressed and uncompressed.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is everything with compression, with saving space, the fact that so many assets are reused in games. Like at the PlayStation 5 original event, Mark Cerny was talking about how like all these benches and mailboxes, they're all the same thing, but they're on the hard drive like 50 times because
Right.
each chunk of the city has to load those, but the hard drive can't spend 5 minutes trying to find those assets when it needs it. They need to be in different places, so it bloats
Yeah,
your
otherwise
file
they're not going to
size.
load in properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one of the most exciting things. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see us hit true 4K 60, but I don't think that's going to happen. But what I really want to see is no more pop in,
Yes.
no more granular pop in. That's what I want to see.
Honestly, we're close. Like, there's even a couple games this generation that have kind of done a good job of that. Even like basic design, like Red Dead Redemption 2, you don't notice pop in too much just because of how the game's designed. It's got very dense foliage to kind of help obscure the stuff behind it when it starts loading in the higher quality assets, stuff like that. But then you do have games like Grand Theft Auto Online, which I am so excited to play that game on PlayStation 5. Yeah, it's probably going to look, probably 4K resolution. I'm hoping 60 frames per second. But the biggest thing is the fact that I don't have to sit there for 3 minutes before I load into the game. If I go to my apartment, I don't have to sit there for 2 minutes while it loads my apartment. All that stuff will be instant. I can load into the game, boom, I'm there. I can load into the casino, and boom, I'm there. Just basic stuff like that is going to make games so much better. And the fact that Grand Theft Auto 6, if it has an online mode, you're not going to have to load into separate areas. Like, if your apartment is going to be in that building, you're going to walk into an elevator, it's going to take you up, you're going to get out. There doesn't have to be a loading screen or transition. You just there.
This is partially why I don't buy Phil Spencer's whole thing, that it's just going to be like PC, and all your games on Series X are going to run perfectly fine on Xbox One. If you're going to build a game from the ground up for Series X, it's just, for the first year, I guess, but it just doesn't make any sense. I think it's just
you
PR
can't.
speak.
The thing is, I'm so worried about Halo Infinite because they've still said, like, Halo Infinite's going to be on everything.
Oh, sorry, you've just spoken out there, Gage.
Halo Infinite.
About Halo Infinite? Yeah.
It's going to be on everything. It's going to be on Xbox Ones. It's going to be on Series X. It's going to be on PC. I'm terrified about what that game's going to be because either the hard drive, literally just the hard drive of an Xbox One or a PC is going to hold that game back from what it could be on Xbox Series X, or they're going to have to dumb it down so much that the version we get on PC or Xbox One is going to be vastly inferior to what we get on Series X. You can't have hardware. It's not as simple as just going, oh, it's got a different graphics card. Okay, scale down the resolution. Now it works. It's literally the fundamental basics of how the game works and how it loads and how it operates that cannot run the same way on one as it does on the other. It just can't. That's not how that works. It's like, imagine getting into a shitty 1970s sedan, and then you get into a Mustang.
Is a tribesman running that van, by the way? Just wondering.
You get into a Mustang that has nitrous that's always on. That sedan, you can't get it up above 30 miles per hour.
You said sedan,
kilometers.
I thought you said a van. Never mind.
If you get into the Mustang with nitrous, it's so fast, you're going to be going 50, 60 instantly. You can get to your destination, you're fine, while that asshole in the sedan is still puttering away.
Why is it an asshole? Just for having an inferior car. Never mind.
Do you want to go down that rabbit hole? Because I can tell you.
No, I'm sorry, Gage. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with that. I have a minivan, so I can't talk shit, honestly.
You could have just said he beat his wife and kids.
Oh my god. Yeah, the wife beater over there in the sedan. But yeah, it's just like, you can't say like, oh, you're going to have the same experience in either car. No, you're not. No, you're not. You literally cannot have the same experience, because if you get in that sedan, it's going to be, this fucking thing is so slow. Oh god, am I breaking down? You get in the Mustang, it's going to be turn the tunes up and floor it. Like,
I just can't wait for a Monster Hunter game on next generation, dude.
I can't wait for any game, dude. Elder Scrolls 6? Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
That's going to be best on PC, dude. Come on, let's be honest.
The coolest thing about the future of games is the fact that we have that solid state drive. The fact that I could jump into the Elder Scrolls 6 and I can go, I'm on this end of the map. I need to fast travel to this end of the map. Okay, confirm. Oh shit, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm
Simple
really
as
excited
that.
about that.
Oh, I want to go into this city. Okay, I'm gonna go open the front gate, and the gate just opens, and the city's there. I don't have to go into a loading screen where it loads
What
me into a separate
what
cell
kind of
for the
visual
city.
tricks do you think they're going to use for that? Like, I was thinking back to like Assassin's Creed, the way Assassin's Creed loaded in the world, to where like it was you running on like a blank kind of builds around you.
It's gonna be so fast. It's either going to be a black screen where it just fades out and fades back in, or you're gonna get like a. It's gonna go to like a screen like you get in Skyrim and Fallout 4 where they have like tips and stuff, and then it's just gonna have like press X to continue after a couple seconds. So you can stay there, you can read what you're reading real quick, and then you can jump in, or you can just keep spamming it within 2 seconds you're in. So it could
See,
just be
part of me hopes that they do something with it because like as much as I didn't like some of the load times in God of War, the fast travel in God of War was cool because you went like through the door, ran around in the weird like Wonderland, ether. I don't know what else to call it. Like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
weird little world, and then the door would pop up. Like that's how they hid.
We
Um,
yeah, we could see more of a Grand Theft Auto 5 approach where it masks the
oh,
loading
sure.
by it like just pulls up the camera and the camera pans across the map and then comes down. So it takes those seconds to
Yeah.
load, but you still get this cool little visual cue of it actually showing you like, hey, you're traveling from here to
Still-
here.
Still one of the coolest effects I've ever seen.
Yeah,
in a video
it's
game.
so good. It's so good.
But I want creative shit like that,
Yeah.
I want to see like if you're a ninja and you're fast traveling, for some reason you just throw down a smoke bomb explodes, when the smoke
So
clears,
cool.
you're like in the next area.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just want to see cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's exactly what we want, man. Just like different companies handle it in different ways.
I remember one of the first instances of like active loading screens that I remember is The Darkness, where they'd have Jackie Estacado like talk about some mobster shit for like,
Yeah.
a few next area loaded. I really liked that style. I think the art games did that as well, where if somebody killed you, it would have like the guy that killed you would be like, "Oh, we got the Batman," or whatever,
Yeah.
And then you'd press X to continue.
I do like Budokai 3, I think it was, or Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I can't remember which one of the two did this. But like in loading screens, you had like little mini games that you could play, like growing the mini cells
Ridge Racer
whilst it
1.
was loading
Sure.
and stuff like that. That was pretty fun.
First Ridge Racer,
Yeah.
you could play Galaga, I think.
Ridge Racer. I always have to bring up that reference every time you bring up Ridge Racer.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how games kind of, developers treat that, but
Okay, that was a huge tangent I did to get us on there.
no.
That was a pretty good tangent.
Kind of moved on anyway, so that
great
was
tangent.
a good topic, but
hmm
it's going to be, I can't wait to see, like, obviously launch titles will be cool. The first year or two are going to be great. I can't wait to see the games that we get in 2025 when
Yeah, I think the big problem with the games that are going to come right at the beginning, just like every single launch generation of games, there's going to be these things that like some people notice the details. Like I remember when Shadowfall dropped, and I was like, oh god, like the papers and stuff floating in the wind, and all these cool particle effects, and just the depth of field that I had, and everything. But my other friend who like isn't as into video games was like, I don't really see why this is any better than last Killzone that dropped.
yeah,
And I know that the first round of games is going to be, oh, Miles Morales doesn't look that much better than the Spider-Man 2018. Until you look at them side by side. And
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it.
Hey, well, Killzone was revolutionary in the fact that you used the touchpad for the first time ever. And you could hear stuff coming from your controller, and I
That
got
was
really
pretty cool.
scared
That's
because I
true.
was like hearing stuff from my controller. I was like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
was so scared.
The
But-
Wii did that with the Wiimotes before the PlayStation 4 did. Just saying.
Nobody cares
Oh
about the Wii. though,
god,
so.
he pipes
But the
up just
thing-
to say that. Come on, dude.
Hey,
The
the rest
thing
of it is
that I-
irrelevant. I don't know what teraflops are. I don't know about anything about SSDs. I know my Game Boy Color still plays my games instantly, and that's all I care about.
Yeah.
the big thing that I'm going to be happy to see is if all the loading stuff does work the way we hope it's going to, because it absolutely should with the data transfer rates they're talking. Like it
Yeah.
absolutely should work. I
Well,
just
we've
hope
already
that
seen
it
some
does.
demos as well, haven't we, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, Ratchet and Clank showed it off a little, the world changing, the stuff, opening to these different locations, but we haven't really seen anything in real time running like a demo on the PlayStation 5
Was
yet.
it Spider-Man that did that though? I'm just thinking.
Yeah, but that was never publicly shown.
Okay,
That
fair.
was a private leak thing.
Mhm.
That was like, hey, watch you
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah. I think one of the shit. I lost my train of thought.
Well, whilst you're
Sorry.
Never
trying to
mind.
think of it, I'm just thinking Tales of Arise is going to be really good.
I'm
I hope so.
sure there's. I
Sorry.
remember what I was gonna say. I'm more excited for the end of the PlayStation 5 life cycle because
Yeah.
The
we've seen that with.
end of PlayStation 4 life cycle, did you
Nope,
say?
nope. I said PlayStation 5.
Okay.
And Series X because it's always so interesting to see how much progress is made with the same hardware. If you look at Uncharted 1 on PlayStation 3, yikes. But then you look at The Last of Us on PlayStation 3 and it's a generational leap. They're both on the same hardware, but because developers have a better understanding of it, they're able to do this. We have
Well, I think
go for it.
when these hard drives become standardized, and most game companies, development companies, are basing their designs around these hard drives, I definitely think that we're going to see some interesting leaps in graphical fidelity for sure.
Absolutely. Everything. It's going to be just interesting to see like the launch titles we get for PlayStation 5 compared to the end, because even PlayStation 4, if you look at Infamous Second Son, it looks great. It's a great looking game. But then you look at Ghost of Tsushima, and it's on another level how different that game looks. Again, running on the same hardware.
I guess
my background to my PC is actually sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
No, please
is
cut
actually
it
a
off.
bunch of like screenshots of early PlayStation 4 games because I'm taking screenshots. I'm like, oh my god, next generation so. And I was looking at some screenshots from Infamous Second Son, and yes, that game looks great. But when you get granular, when you look really close, you can see that the bump map textures and stuff like that, the shaders that they're using, like look super basic from at super close range, but good from far away.
Exactly.
And the character models look better than PlayStation 3, but the architecture and like their facial structure is quite as good as even games that came out a little bit later. And yeah, especially something like Last of Us, Tsushima, which just looks fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, it's a real testament. Like if you want to look at how much a console generation can improve, you look at like Infamous Second Son, Killzone Shadowfall, stuff like that, and then compare that to God of War, Days Gone. Look, Grand Theft Auto 5 on PlayStation 4 and compare that to Red Dead Redemption 2. Like right there you have, again, the same studio that took an already great-looking game and made something that is arguably the best-looking game ever made.
Even look at like the first Call of Duty game that came out to
Ghosts.
the last Call of Duty game that came out, and it's insane.
Gotta love Ghosts.
Well, the hard drive space, yeah, certainly insane.
Yeah, dude. God. But yeah, even going from there to Modern Warfare, it's like it's such a drastic improvement in every way. Even Battlefield 4 compared to Battlefield 5, which is ironic because it's actually Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1, and then Battlefield 5. Because, we gotta have freaking, like, Square Enix naming over here. Jesus. I can't wait for Battlefield 1.5 plus 2.5 HD remake Redux. It's gonna be great.
Prologue, MLG edition.
It's not Prologue, it's like Pro Epilogue 0.7 HD.
I was just going to say on the point of like how good games look, we have to like also factor in the technology of our time as well in TVs. Because like Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that I played halfway in, and then I changed my TV to a 4K TV with HDR, and I can't explain to you how mind blown I was to see the difference between a 1080p TV to 4K HDR and Horizon. What, with Horizon as well?
Yeah, exactly. With Horizon, that was one of the first games that I booted up in HDR on my 4K TV, and it blew my mind. Even just like HDR. So I had an LG TV. I gave it to Largent when I got my new one, but it's a 4K TV. It's got HDR, but it's not full-fledged, top line HDR. and it's a 49-inch. Eventually, Black Friday deals happened, work discounts, all that shit. I was able to buy a bigger TV that's similar, but it has a higher refresh rate and better HDR. And just that difference, the fact that I'm still playing in the same resolution, but my Samsung has a slightly better color gamut, changed. Like jumping into Destiny 2 for the first time with the deeper blacks and the more vivid colors, that game is ridiculously good looking. And I've always thought it was a great looking game on a smaller shitty TV or the 49-inch LG, but just these little improvements you can get from a boost in color or contrast on a TV makes so much of a difference. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So I have to make one small thing known here. For me, this next generation is going to be huge because I just upgraded to a 4K TV.
Oh, nice.
Like literally last month. And on top of that, I still only have a base PlayStation 4.
Oh,
So I'm going to be jumping fresh into a
Oh.
PlayStation 5 at the end of the year with a 4K TV. So it is going to be a generational leap for me.
that's amazing.
It's going to be like Quagmire when he first discovers the internet. We're not going to hear it from Phil for like such a long time.
Right?
And I'm just going to have these huge thumbs
Yeah.
from all the working out.
I'm also just probably more excited just the backward compatibility with PlayStation 4. The fact that I'll be able to play Red Dead Redemption 2 without it sounding like my PlayStation's going to explode. Just basic stuff like that. Being able to play older games without my PlayStation 4 Pro sounding like a jet engine is going to be awesome. And if they add PS3?
To be fair, if Sony just like released a video and all it was like Shuhei turning the console on and it didn't, I feel like that would be a win on the internet.
It would be. Here's Death Stranding on PlayStation 4 Pro. Here's Death Stranding on PlayStation 5. And it's just a camera behind the console so you can listen to it. It doesn't even show the game. It's just like PlayStation 4 Pro, it's peaking the mic. PlayStation 5, it's this nice, calm hum. I'd be like, okay, you got my money.
Perfect.
Dude, I can't wait for next gen. But we're going to have to until this holiday season. Maybe November.
Yeah.
Maybe December. Who knows if we'll ever get it. If the world, ends because of COVID-19 or nuclear war or Trump gets reelected. Who knows? But it's been fun, guys.
Find out next time on the.
So
Sass
wait,
Cast.
are we going to do our collection of shame?
Yes, let's do that again. I've got nothing, so.
What's the collection of shame, guys?
Games you've never played or haven't finished.
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about it because there is some.
I'm working on stuff right now, so it's getting smaller. But
I'll bring it to another podcast. I'll bring that up.
Actually, I got one. Breath of the Wild. I've never played it myself.
I haven't finished Breath of the Wild. I've played about 10 hours and stopped playing. I'll go back to it one day, but.
Oh, so
we're gonna kill Phil.
I don't own a Switch, so I can't.
Yeah, I heard you say that earlier, but I thought.
Yeah. No.
I thought maybe Largent was like, "Hey, borrow my Switch."
We've talked about it, but then I also said, no,
I need it.
I'm going to go play Skyrim some more. Like, I don't need to play Breath of the Wild. It looks great. I've heard great things. I know it's an amazing game, but Switch can't play Red Dead 2 or Grand Theft Auto.
You know what, though? My wife loves playing.
Well, she's not on the podcast, is she, Phil? So, no. It'd be cool.
We'll have her on for the new episode 1 that we put up.
Yeah, right. We're just gonna reboot it again and have a totally different cast. It'd be cool to have a Switch. Like, I almost bought one over the holidays last year because I was working so much. I almost bought one so I could play Skyrim and Dragon's Dogma on my break. But then it's like, I'm not gonna restart those games again. I'm not spending $300 for a console and then $60 for each game just to restart when I can go home at the end of the night and play the Dragon's Dogma character I've been playing since launch. Like, there's just...
Oh, is he still talking about Dragon's Dogma?
You know what, Kumail?
I'm sorry, Gage. I'll mute myself.
You know what, Kumail? You should really get it. It's a really solid game. It's a lot of fun.
I am considering it. I think
Get it.
remaster only
Buy
on Switch?
it. Yes,
Or is it
it's
on
been on
console as
Switch.
well?
It's on everything. You can play Dragon's Dogma on everything except for your phone, basically.
Oh, I'll get the
Dude,
PS4
oh
version.
my god,
That's not up for
it's
alert.
so good, so good. Back me up, Largent. Don't leave me hanging here.
Well, no, you don't
Hey,
have to
I-
back now.
I
It's
have
all
it
on
on the Game Boy
episode
Advance.
0
It's
that
really
he hasn't
good.
released.
Exactly.
I
Episode
can't actually back you up on that, Gage. Dragon's Dogma is fantastic, and
It's such a good
the
game.
fact that that Kumail loves Monster Hunter but hasn't played Dragon, it breaks
Dude.
my heart.
Dude.
Yeah, I think
It's
you'd really like
funny
it,
that
Kumail.
after episode 0, I remember getting back into the group chat and Robin Jill was just like,
Yeah,
"Has anyone played Dragon's Dogma?" And
it
we were
was
like,
such
"Oh
perfect
god."
timing.
Seriously,
Such perfect timing.
like if Monster Hunter had a baby with Skyrim, that's what
Oh
I'm gonna go
no!
with.
Don't say it
That's
to
what
me
I'm gonna
like
go
that.
with.
Don't say it to me like that.
Skyrim mixed with Monster Hunter, mixed with Lord of the Rings, mixed with, like
Mixed with Japan.
Final Fantasy and Resident Evil.
Japan.
That's
I
what
think
it is.
I think Monster Hunter covers Japan enough. They're like,
That's true. That's true. But even more so, it's very, very.
You get to
It's
fight
very different.
hydras, dragons, worms, wyverns, ogres, goblins,
trolls.
trolls.
Next, you're gonna be telling me there's tea
Frame
in the game
rates.
as well.
Not so much on
Frame
PS4, but
rate.
yes, like on every other console, you had to fight the frame rate too. Dude, harpies, griffins.
Darkness. You definitely fight darkness.
Literally,
You'd be-
like that
yeah.
game has some dark caverns, and if you don't have a lantern,
It
you're
does.
screwed. You can't do anything.
I could speak to you guys all day. What's that game that's...
Shut up! The DLC,
Sorry.
one of the enemies is literally death. Like the Grim Reaper will appear in random areas, and if he hits you once, you're dead. So you either need to be really good and kill him, or you need to run like hell because he
Oh, this
literally
sounds like
fair.
hunts
Persona
you.
now, like the Reaper in Persona. When you're
I was
in the
about to say,
dungeon.
to be fair, that sounds like the Reaper.
You're selling it to me, Gage. That's a good thing.
Oh my god. It's got so much replayability because the game, I can't talk about how it loops, but the game loops perfectly that every New Game Plus makes sense in the lore every time you play through the game again. Because there's like time stuff going on. But that game is so good. So big, there's so much to do. Oh my god. Being able to customize your character, upload your main pawn to the server, and then be able to go there and see everyone else's pawns. Like, we're friends on PlayStation Network, so you can use my pawn, who's max level, and since we're friends, you don't have to pay Rift Crystals for him. You could just get him, and he'll be max level, and he'll destroy everything. It's amazing. And then I can get your pawn, and I can use that pawn, and then when you jump on next and you rest, the pawn will return and be like, hey, here's some loot that I found.
Oh
So, like,
damn,
dude,
that's pretty cool.
It's so good. They'll gain knowledge. So if I take your main pawn on quests, they gain knowledge for those quests, and they'll gain knowledge against the enemies that we fight. So then when you get to that quest, you don't know what to do. Your pawn will say, hey, we should go talk to this person because I've done this before. And they'll actually help you out because they actually learned from my game. They'll have new strategies on how to fight enemies because they fought the enemies on my game. It's just, it's a single player game, but has one of the coolest, I guess, multiplayer aspects to it. Like, it's kind of like a Death Stranding multiplayer experience where you're never actually playing with another person, but there's always this influence on your game from everyone else who's playing it, which is amazing. It's such a... Dude, I want a sequel so bad. So bad.
So, let's talk about Kingdoms of Amalur for a second. Has anyone played that? Because I haven't played it.
Great
And,
game.
like,
That
I saw
remaster
the
trailer is
trailer
shit.
for it.
That trailer's terrible. The game is so fun though.
Yeah,
fun.
I'm definitely gonna get it because the DLC. Well, not DLC. Well, it kind of was a DLC trailer, wasn't it? Like it was showing you some new stuff.
Honestly, I don't recognize anything from that trailer. Honestly,
Yeah,
I don't
so I was
recognize anything
well,
from the
this
game.
is pretty cool.
It's because they were advertising a new DLC coming to the re-release later.
Which is stupid. They should just show the freaking game. Show me a trailer that has gameplay from the Re-Reckoning version. Like, that game was great. I want to see the game that I'm gonna buy. Don't show me a DLC coming later in the year and expect me to buy this game for it. God.
Am I the only one that kind of hates THQ Nordic's naming schemes? Like Remastered Edition?
I hate it, but at the same time, I kind of dig it.
Re-Reckoning.
Because
Thing,
it's
though,
so unique that If you say remastered, I know exactly which game you're talking about. If you say Reckoning, I know exactly what game you're talking about. But this is also the company that took over THQ's name, a company that failed, and they were like, you know what we should change our name to? You know, that company over there. It's like, no.
It's nostalgic, dude.
Yeah, like I know THQ carries weight, but it also carries weight for the fact that it closed. Like THQ went bye-bye.
When you're brave enough to go on 8chan and not get canceled, you know?
I'm also the asshole that wants to start a studio and call it Pandemic because I want to make
Oh,
Mercenaries games.
You're
So-
also the asshole who goes on 8chan as well.
Sure.
You fit the bill, I'm telling you.
I don't
that
even
much.
know. I know what 4chan is. I know I've heard of 8chan. I know it's just probably another shitty website where assholes go to talk about stuff.
4chan
Good monsters. That's what 8chan is.
4chan is a mild playground in comparison to 8chan.
Jesus, then I don't want to ever. No, I'm good.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying they managed to get on 8chan and not
I
get canceled.
remember that now. Oh my god! Then they get called out because they're like, "Yo, you know this is like a hardcore like racists and Nazis come here, right?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do an AMA on it." I remember that.
Yep.
That was rough.
That's what the dog said. Rough.
Uh,
So what are we doing for Ubisoft on Sunday? Or tomorrow, I guess. Well, today for me, but
I don't even know what time it is anyway.
I think it's noon your time, I believe.
Theoretically, it'd be cool to do a live react, but my internet's garbage, so
We could do a show, or we can do something on Monday or something like that.
yeah, we could always do something post, you know, after we can do this or do it on Monday or something, just talk about. I swear to God, if they teased a Ghost Recon thing that clearly looks like the team AI they're finally going to add, which, by the way, they confirmed before the game launched because everybody was like, what if I want to play by myself? Why don't I have team AI? I had them in Wildlands, and they're like, you're right. We'll put it in the game after launch. Game's been out for like a year and a half at this point, and we're finally going to get a trailer for it. And if they do not drop it tomorrow, if they don't put out the trailer and go, it's available today, I'm never playing that game again. Ever. I bought that game. I bought the season pass because that's the only fucking Splinter Cell game I'm going to get for the next 10 years was that stupid DLC. And if I don't get this, if I don't get something that was literally in the previous game that was announced before launch, I'm never touching that game again. Like, what the hell? You don't announce something before launch and then draw it out. Like, when it's a big fundamental part of your whole franchise. Every Ghost Recon game had a squad until this one. Fuck him.
I think that's the mic drop moment.
Yeah, basically.
Look, I also want a new Splinter Cell game, okay? It's been long enough. Like, just fucking do it already. I'm so sick of this bullshit. Everybody wants the goddamn game. But Assassin's Creed, it's like you're giving up on stealth in Assassin's Creed, basically. You're making it an action game, and the biggest stealth franchise you have isn't even going to get a new game. The last game we got was Blacklist, and they turned it into an action game? Are you joking?
I think the problem
Rainbow
is
Six
that they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with it.
They don't know what to do with any of their franchises. That's the problem with Ubisoft, and it's going to change now because they just fired like half of their upper echelon because they're all abusive assholes, apparently. So there's going to be new leadership. So maybe there's somebody going to be in there, and he's going to go, hey, remember when Ubisoft made good games? Let's try to do that again.
Maybe THQ Nordic will take them over and they'll make some good games.
And why THQ Nordic buys all these games, but they don't buy Mercenaries or the Saboteur? Where's Mercenaries? Where's the Saboteur? That's what I want to know. I'm pretty sure EA still has their grubby-ass hands on those franchises. And we're never going to see a sequel. Even though you can see gameplay of Mercenaries 3 on YouTube, and it looks dope as hell. But
are we going to get a Nintendo X Ubisoft collaboration again?
Splinter Cell, Switch exclusive. I would fucking kill myself. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Cell X Mario.
Oh,
Just Mario
Ubisoft comes out. They're like, we bought Dragon's Dogma from Capcom. We're turning it into an online competitive shooter.
What
No,
if what if the next what if it's even worse? What if the next Splinter Cell game isn't a new Splinter Cell game on Switch? It's the original Splinter Cell game on Switch.
At this point, I would be so happy if they put the original Splinter Cell trilogy on PlayStation 4. Give me a 4K upres, I don't care. I will buy it. Like, I just want Splinter Cell. Those games were so good up until Conviction. Like, Double Agent was the last decent one because it was still Splinter Cell. And then Conviction's like, what if we add auto-aiming in for the combat and make it an action game? And then Blacklist is like, what if we get rid of our main actor and make it a young Sam Fisher? Why? Why?
It's a thumbs up from me.
Blacklist was literally just a Ghost Recon game at that point. It wasn't even Splinter Cell. There's Ubisoft
So
does
what
not respect their
do you want
franchises.
to
I'm
do?
sorry, they just don't respect their franchises. God,
I'm just
Sorry.
trolling it.
What was that? What was that, Kamal?
I was just saying, what songs do you want in Just Dance 2020?
we're gonna see that shit.
So, I mean, I think that stands to reason on all fronts though, because like Siphon Filter's gone, Splinter Cell's gone, Metal Gear Solid is gone. Like, what kind of military espionage stealth shooter do we have at this?
That's the thing. We don't. We need one. We had so many years of oversaturation, and now we're at a point where it's like, why not bring it back? It's the perfect time to bring something fresh back. Like, hey, remember all these amazing games? Now you can play one again. But then you have, again, it's always oversaturation. Then we don't get anything forever. Like, look at all the Japanese games we got right now. We got, I mean, like region based, not like developed in Japan. I mean, like Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro, stuff like that, where it's actually based in Japan. You're getting that oversaturation where I guarantee you in 2 years, we're probably going to get one more game. Maybe we'll get Neo 3 or something, and then we're not going to get a Samurai game for like 10 years after that. Because all the publishers are going to go, well, our game didn't sell. It must be people don't want it. Instead of going, maybe we should wait 3 years until the market's not saturated anymore.
Well, credit to Ubisoft, because they realized that with Assassin's Creed, didn't they?
Yeah, eventually. But then at the same time, you look at Assassin's Creed and it's like, I love the new direction Assassin's Creed's going because it's the type of game I want to play, but it's not Assassin's Creed anymore. It hasn't been Assassin's Creed until, I guess, Unity was the last one that was technically the same type of game where you have your assassins, you're fighting Templars and shit. And then Syndicate comes out and it's like, you're just a gang in London. And then Origins is like, you kind of get the origin of the assassins, but it has nothing to do with the lore. And then Odyssey that has fuck all to do with Assassin's Creed, but it's just a dope-ass game. And then, Valhalla, same thing.
Black Flag was like the beginning of the end for that franchise. Not in a bad way, but like in the evolution of the
transitioning
franchise.
from like what we know as Assassin's Creed into more of like a...
yeah, exactly.
Like a timepiece action RPG, I guess. Like, it's not Assassin's Creed, it's its own thing. Like, it's not Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's I don't know what the franchise would be called for that, but it's definitely not an Assassin's Creed game. The same way, like, again, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's not a Ghost Recon game. Ghost Recon games usually
it's
military
Actions
sims.
Creed now.
Yeah. Rainbow Six was always you're going in, you're fighting terrorists, it's kind of simulation based, and they turned it into a competitive shooter.
Sorry,
Splinter
Phil,
Cell
did you just
died. So
Assassin's Creed?
I think you said Action Creed.
I said Actions Creed.
Yeah, Action's Creed.
Okay, I thought I heard Athens Creed. I was like, bloody hell, that's genius. But
That is pretty genius.
Yeah, I just don't think Watch Dogs treats their franchises with enough respect. I mean,
oh, dude, Watch Dogs! I can't wait to see like some sort of update on that because the whole premise of it
I hope
for me
it's
was
good.
so cool,
I hope
dude.
Legion's good.
Especially being in London, you get to take over all these different sort of characters, and you're randomly like an old woman, and then
Yeah.
the next thing you're a cockney.
I
like
hope
a
it
hooligan.
pays off. Dude, Watch Dogs 2 was incredible. I love Watch Dogs 2. They fixed everything wrong with the first game and actually made a really solid game. So I hope Legion's good because all their other games right now are just...
About this, but like they said a really great point. Like Watchdog, because Watchdog 1s exist, no one played Watch Dogs 2. and that includes me also. So I'm looking forward to going into
Dude,
Watch Dogs.
if you can get Watch Dogs 2 for like $20 or even less, get it. Watch Dogs 2 is so good. So good. It's what the first
If you
game
really
should
want
have
a
been.
better, if you want a better Watch Dogs game, just play the Saboteur on PS3. It's
Yes,
damn good.
please. Go play the Saboteur. Go buy that game. That game is the Saboteur, man. One of the most unique games I've ever played.
Just judging me.
And EA just killed it.
How
Yeah,
about
I really like the concept of bringing color back to via your action.
Yeah, when you liberate parts
Like
of
it's such
Paris.
a small part, but it's so cool.
Yeah, it was
That
really
game
cool.
is... Everything about
how
that
about
game
No
is so good.
Heroes for Switch?
What was that, Camille?
No More
Okay.
Heroes for Switch.
Oh, gotcha.
Only No More Heroes game I played was on Wii.
Yeah, I like a remaster of that somehow.
Yeah. It sucked. I'm kidding. No More Heroes is super dope.
I was about to say, Gage, why are you always breaking my heart?
At that point, I would have had to set up the other guy's podcast, you know? Like,
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Ubisoft does tomorrow, but I have little to no hype for it because it's a Ubisoft conference. Like,
I'm just there
there's
for
gonna
the
be
hype.
there's gonna be 30 minutes of Just Dance. We're gonna have to. Was it kind of funny who said that it's probably just gonna be a bunch of assholes? They didn't say assholes. I'm saying assholes. On Zoom dancing, and that's gonna be their dance number. It's gonna be like showing all the people dancing, and that's gonna pan out and have everyone doing their dances on video call. God.
Dude, like, when was the last time Ubisoft had a good conference? I'm pretty sure never. Is the answer.
Never. And they keep doing the same shit, and it's never good.
There, Ice Tyler is awesome.
I'm not saying that there haven't been good games shown at Ubisoft conferences. I'm just saying the way they're formatted
Yeah.
are so dry and
I'm
just
so
so
sorry.
like formulaic.
Bill.
I don't think anybody likes the dance segments from their E3 conferences. If you
Like,
look
they
at people
do
in the
have-
crowds, they're just sitting there like, hey, bitch. Hey. Why?
We should clarify. There's a dog on camera.
It's a cat.
Or a cat.
It's my cat. I think he wants outside.
No, I'm actually pretty sure that's exactly how the Ubisoft.
Yeah. I'm worried about
So
it, but
for
it'll be
my
fun.
phone, was using his phone, I think, and sometimes the Wi-Fi can be a bit dodgy.
Yeah, it cut
Oh,
out
yeah,
on you.
Casey.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No worries.
The good thing about Ubisoft's conference is I always find one song where I have to Shazam it and be like, okay, I need to listen to this. I can't remember what the other one was called from last year
Casey.
or the year before. But they have good songs. That's the only point I can give for that. And I don't like it when you guys go silent because it makes me think you're judging me. And it's fine.
Yeah.
I
Well,
deserve
I'm
to be
always judging you,
judged.
Camille.
I'm not judging you at all. I mean, Just Dance has been one of the better selling games, like their franchise list, and it's because it's on everything and it's really popular.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
Dance,
Shout out to the Wii.
especially if you like e-girls, because e-girls love that Just Dance.
Yep.
Can I give a shout out to Jay Medforth, who plays Just Dance 2020 on his Twitch and actually does karaoke at the same time. It's actually a sight to behold.
Nice.
So e-girl 2.0.
Yeah,
Pretty much. All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers.
Tune in next time for a top 20 e-girls.
Yeah. God,
Oh,
no.
God.
No.
But-
Jesus.
That we'll do that on a separate podcast, Kumail.
The Simply Sassy podcast?
Oh, yeah, there you
Yes. Oh, that's so good.
Okay.
Just white
Straight simping.
I definitely have to end this before my cat decides to pee in the house. Thanks everyone for watching today. Thank you guys for joining me once again on a lovely Saturday. I don't know what time it is anymore. Hopefully we can be back at this next week again, maybe on Friday or something. Maybe Saturday again. Try to do this weekly. Try to keep it going. Anything else you guys want to add or say to the lovely probably 60 people that are going to watch this?
Oh, I wish I had 60 people that listen to my own podcast, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. But
I was gonna say 60 sounds generous.
you can
We're
find...
like 68 views right now on the first episode, so
Really?
yeah, it's great.
Oh, damn.
It's great.
Hello.
All right.
Well, to those 60 people, if even one of you likes Pokemon, I do a Pokemon podcast every Sunday, 7:30 BST. That's noon your time, PST, I guess. I'm assuming your time. Over on twitch.tv/KumailH. You can find me on Twitter at KumailH and also on simplysassyvids.com.
Absolutely.
I am Phil J. Woodward on Twitter. You can mostly catch me on Ben Please Be Excited's streams, as well as KFAF and the Photoshop Challenge. I have art commissions open if you want to check out some of the art and maybe get some commissioned emotes or something.
Maybe even some voice.
That's kind of what I do.
Or
Some voice
was
work.
it a separate show that commissioned you for voice? Oh, he's gone on mute again. But yeah, he does voice commissions as well. He's really good, so check him out.
Yeah,
He's
he
got
was
great-
Solid Snake in our.
I'm not sure where I died there, but like my whole stream from, I'm sure if I
Some could argue you've still died because your Wi-Fi's really sabotaging it.
I don't know what's going on right now. Like it's suddenly all getting really, really bad.
Hmm.
No worries.
America, fuck yeah!
Right?
There you go. But if you want that in your game, commission Phil. Far Cry 6, eat your heart out.
All right.
Logi, what about you, buddy?
You can find me in the chat on the Please Be Excited streams on Twitch. Other than that, leave me alone.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, everyone, stay sassy.